Good morning, everybody. If you could please join us for a flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. First order of business will be to move to accept our minutes as of December the 16th. Entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
Tom has moved. Entertain a second.
Second.
Cody is second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Our consent agenda. Move to authorize Director Chairman to sign 8 tax abatements to the county tax roll in an amount of $857.42. And as you can look at the 8, they're all tied to some type of a vehicle that taxes have been adjusted here. So entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll move.
Fred has moved. Entertain a second.
Second.
Tom is second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Under miscellaneous motions, we have 2 today, and we took action on these here a couple weeks ago. Upon recommendation of the county clerk, move to authorize and direct the chairman to sign the year 2020 cereal malt beverage license to Conoco Travel Center / Cedar Valley Investment DBA Fuel Expresso 11, located at 2754 U.S. Highway 75 Northwest, Lebo, Kansas 66856.
I'll move.
Fred has moved. Entertain a second.
I'll second.
Cody is second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Second one, based upon the recommendation of the county clerk, move to authorize and direct the chairman to sign the year 2020 cereal malt beverage license to Travel Centers of America, located at 2775 Highway 75, Lebo, Kansas 66856.
I'll make that motion.
Cody has moved. Entertain a second. Fred is second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Next on our agenda is Angela Trimble, but representing Trust Point Insurance. But we understand Janet. I know Janet quite well. And Bobby, welcome, and we're ready for your update.
Thank you. Well, Dawn, you summarized that perfectly. Yes, Angela is typically going to be here. However, she did unfortunately have a family emergency, so she wasn't able to attend. But she asked me to come in her backup, and I'll do my best to do her justice.
I'm sure you do.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. And do you want a spare copy for your office? Yeah. Hopefully everybody's done Christmas shopping, since Christmas is just in a couple of days. Well, again, good morning. I'm Bobby with Trust Point Insurance. I'm here to go over the county renewal for 2020.
Bobby, have you had the opportunity to meet all of us here?
I believe so. The only one I'm unsure of is Cody, but I know I've kind of talked to you in passing, so
right.
the joys of small town. So, of course, I'm familiar with Don. We've spoken quite a bit, and Rob, of course, I know you through my other half, and then Tom, of course, and Fred. So, but thank you, Don, for pointing that out. What I wanted to do is come out. One, I appreciate your time because I know that you have a lot to probably cover for the end of the year. I believe that we have an hour allotted on the agenda.
I don't think she gave me a
Okay.
time. I think we were like
We're
30
set up
minutes.
at, we're set up at 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Woo, we're gonna make this speed. But I don't want to drag this out any longer than necessary or make it too quick for you. So I am gonna kind of go through things fairly quickly, but if we need to stop and have a discussion on something, or if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to stop me. Because I'm more than happy to make some changes or, discuss anything that we need to. So. I did include quite a bit of information in your packets this year about EMC and about some of the services that they offer. Since Coffee County is an EMC policyholder, there's a multitude of services and programs that you are automatically available, or that are available to you. I didn't want to include all of them because this packet would be very significant, but I wanted to touch on some of those. Of course, I won't go into a ton of detail, but that information is in your packet if you would like to read through it later. Or if there's something you're interested in or curious to see if EMC has available, we can definitely research and look into that for you. So. The first section that we always like to start with is your property, as that is the most significant part of Coffee County and the assets that it owns. We go through and we create an address summary, so to speak. When we talk about insurance, sometimes we speak a little bit of a foreign language. We've got location numbers and building numbers and different things. So we also like to break that down by what that description means. So that's kind of what you're looking at and seeing there. We do have all of the buildings that are owned by Coffee County insured on a blanket basis. So that can float from place to place, or that can influx or decrease as needed. That blanket value is $10,421,165. We also have your business property or your contents as a blanket value of $2,538,150. So overall, we have just over 13 to 14 million in property value insured for Coffee County. The deductible for all of your losses currently is $5,000, and that does apply per occurrence. Mother Nature was a little vicious this last year. So in the event there is a storm or there is some loss-related incident, that deductible is only going to apply once instead of per building or per location. Just some of those added benefits, again, of being an EMC policyholder, that they offer that. And as you flip through, you're going to see some aerial graphics. We start with location 1, which is where we are. We use our good friends at Google to use some of the aerial information. So again, when we're talking location numbers, building numbers, this allows you to know what it is we're exactly talking about. We have location 1 is where we are currently. The building that we are in is insured for $6.2 million. We also have a various amount of content from business property, office desks, chairs, anything that can be related to that. We also have computer equipment of $380,000, and we have of course, the property in the open, which is going to be your towers and your antennas that are necessary for county functions. We do still have the small storage shed on here. I know last year we had briefly talked about whether we wanted to continue to keep that, as I do understand that is still here.
Which one are we talking about?
The one here.
Okay. We also have one across the street.
Yes, and that one, we had that discussion last year, and we had requested to remove it because of the value being under the deductible.
But the stuff in it still is insured?
Yes.
Okay.
Are our buildings insured on replacement value or
They
market
are.
value?
Everything that we have insured for your buildings or for your contents is all replacement cost. So in the event of a loss, it's going to put you right back where you were at that time. Everything that we have. The only exception that does not come into play is on your vehicles which are insured at actual cash value, and your equipment. Over location 2 and 3 is our sheriff's locations for the storage building and for the annex.
May I back up just a minute?
Yeah,
then?
absolutely.
Okay, so building 2 is what, storage shed then?
That is the small board garden shed that was put in
Okay, my question is, we don't store, I mean, and what's our deductible?
5,000.
So why, I guess the question is, why are we insuring something for $2,300 when our 5,000 limit anyway?
If that's something you would definitely like to change, we could make that adjustment for
It
you.
doesn't make sense to me, but I
Sure.
don't know what these guys think, but.
And that is a very good point, Bob, because in the event of a single loss, if you have just one location that's affected, if this is only the storage shed, catches fire and is gone, will your EMC policy pay out? No. But in the event of a loss that involves
It's
both
totally multiple.
multiple, then yes, that building would be taken into consideration because your deductible will only apply once. And if that's something, it would be interesting for you to have the data on how much that building itself is costing you, we'd be more than happy to go back and get that information and bring it, we can follow up next week or the week after.
Yeah, let's look at that.
Okay.
Please, thank you.
Premium's probably not over 1%, which would be, $25 to $40.
Right.
But you might check into
Yep,
it.
we can absolutely do that. That's no trouble at all.
But to clarify, in case of total disaster, it's covered anyway, right?
Right.
So,
But you do make a very good point about the lower valued item, less than their deductible. So, the sheriff's locations are the Potomac locations. And I do apologize, I just realized there's a typo on Potomac, so don't mind that. But we have both the sheriff's storage building there of $122,980 at replacement cost, and we also have contents or business property of $40,400. The other building is the annex building we have insured at $439,450, with business property of $35,000, computers at $25,000, and at that location we also included property of others. In the event there is a loss following a repossession or some type of commandeering of someone else's stuff, there is protection there for the county for someone to have that as well as there. Location 4 is, of course, another very big, very important operation, which is the Road and Bridge location. That one has not only the Road and Bridge offices, it has the truck storage building, the salt barn, as well as the fuel tanks and the fuel pumps. We have all of that insured at that location. The office and shop value of that building we did increase a couple of years ago after it went through some upgrades and some renovations. So it's insured at $930,200. Your business property is $62,950. And we also have a radio tower, which is called property in the open. Whenever something isn't attached to a building but it's freestanding, that's how we do insure that. This truck storage building is $475,100, and then we also have the business property, the radio tower, and the fuel systems there. Location 5 is going to be the landfill, the weigh house, and the trailer barn. The garage itself, it's just that little small garage. We have at $22,100. We have the weigh house at $110,000, and then the trailer storage barn, I believe, was just recently added in 2017, and at that time, that was the value we put on it of $26,250.
We did just add a concrete floor. Is that something we should take into account on the value?
We'll definitely want to update that, yeah. So that was on the truck barn, Angie?
Yes, trailer storage.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I'll definitely look at that and
We
make
got
sure.
this got completed here a few weeks back.
A couple of months ago.
Time's
It flies, it flies.
Whatever
Like-
happens, the concrete's not gonna be moving anyway,
If-
but it's,
Yeah.
you might take a look at it.
Yes. We'll definitely get that updated, just to make sure. We don't want there to be any surprises or anything if, in the event we need to, so, thank you. And then we jump over, location 6 and 7 is gonna be the noxious weed in the recycling department building. We do have the noxious weed building insured at $539,814. We have both business property and computer equipment at that location. And the recycling center, we have insured at $357,921, along with some business property and some computer equipment. And these values, I know it's very wondersome sometimes. Where do those come from? Well, how do we just come up with those? There's actually a program that EMC utilizes that goes through and puts all of the building's characteristics and data into a computer system, basically, and we're able to come up with those values, which is where those numbers come from. Sometimes they can be off a little bit. Sometimes we need to adjust them, and we're more than happy to coordinate with both you and with EMC to do that.
There again, computer equipment's $2,000, and deductible still $5,000 on equipment,
It is.
so it doesn't, to me, that's another one that
Okay,
doesn't, is questionable.
sure.
How tall, where you're gonna lose the equipment goes losing the building, so.
Yeah. And in the event that were to happen, the deductible would apply for the building and then not for. But we can definitely, break those down and look at those and really start seeing the value, try to calculate that value so that way we have that adequately insured for you. We do have a couple of different locations here. These are not a picture of the exact siren or the pole itself, but again, we used our good friends at Google just to get the basic concept of the idea of where that is. Location number 8 is in Lebo. We have the siren itself insured at $22,800. The antenna is insured at $1,200. The deductible of $5,000 again does apply, and those are insured at replacement cost. The location 9 is actually the same, the siren at $22,800 with the antenna at $1,200. Location 10 is going to be the emergency services building up on Old Highway 50 and 75. We have that building insured at $485,980. We do have both some business property and some computer equipment at that location. We also have included the backup generator and the radio tower at that location, those locations as well. Again, everything is insured at replacement cost, and that deductible is $5,000. And then the last one we have for property is location number 11 is going to be in Leroy. This is the DVRS repeater system. We had coordinated with Randy Rogers with the Sheriff's Department a few years ago that this is a tower and an antenna that they utilize for their emergency communication, was our understanding. So we have this system, this DVRS repeater system, insured at $29,600 at replacement cost.
I would like to go back to the
Sure.
location 8. I think the antennas on those, if you lose the antenna, good idea, you're gonna lose the siren anyway, because I think they're on the same pole, so I
Okay.
wonder if we really need to take a look at those also.
Okay.
And Bobby, I'm taking those notes, so,
Oh, thank you, Ann. She's making such a great assistant. Thank you, Jan. And the next couple pages, again, I don't want to kind of go into too many monotonous details, but this is some of the information of the coverages that you have with EMC. One of them is equipment breakdown. So that's going to be loss or failure, sudden or accidental, to any of the electrical or equipment systems in the county-owned buildings. This can be your phone system. This could be your computer networking. This could be your heating and air conditioning units. as long as it is something that is sudden or accidental and not related to a age issue or a wear and tear or something along those lines. Because that can sometimes happen, you know, electrical arcing or just a random loss. There can be some coverage for that underneath your EMC policy. So we're always happy to take a look at any of those situations that might arise or might come up. Another one of our big sections for Coffee County that we have is what's called your inland marine or your equipment. This is, of course, a very important role in the operations of not only the road and bridge, the highway department, your noxious weed department, your sheriff's department, you know, anyone that has mobile equipment that is not affixed at any one location but travels from place to place or is not always at one location. The equipment itself, we have a total catastrophic value of $6,442,356. The deductible for your equipment is $2,500, unless it is valued over $200,000, and then EMC requests a $5,000 deductible at that time. Just due to the increased value of the equipment, they do request for you to carry a little higher deductible on that. And every 3 years, Angela and myself do coordinate with the various department heads in order to review those values and review that equipment just to make sure that it is adequate. One, you know, we don't want something to be insured that you no longer have, or two, we don't want something to be over or underinsured, so in the time of a loss, EMC can put you back whole again. One other coverage that we do have in your equipment policy is leased or rented. So in the event one of the county departments does need to lease or rent a piece of equipment temporarily, it's not being purchased, it's just being borrowed temporarily, there is coverage for that underneath your EMC policy, so you do not have to go and seek that from the rental company. Usually that's going to be your Murphy, I think we've got Van Keppel, Foley Tractor, Katz, you know, some of those frequent dealerships that you may need to rent some equipment from. And that amount we have insured is $300,000, and that is at any one time. So you can have multiple pieces of equipment insured, and as long as it does not exceed that $300,000 for all pieces, they're all insured. There is a deductible of $5,000 that applies for those. And the next section is your general liability. Your policy is is made up of several different types of liability. One of them, and one of the most important, is your general liability. This is going to take care of anything with your locations, your premises, your operations of your various departments. That does not involve an auto, because that will come under the auto policy later. But this is going to be protecting Coffee County from any injury or damage to someone or something. It's very, very important. That coverage we have for Coffee County is $1 million per event or per occurrence. We do also have a policy maximum of $2 million for the policy term. And that policy is based and calculated on a variety of factors. One of them is the county budget, the number of miles within Coffee County that are serviced by your road and bridge departments, your health department, your number of employees, as well as your hazards, which can be your lakes or reservoirs or any operations that may be involved with Coffee County. Another great service that EMC offers is the Attorney Direct Program. This is designed for you and for your legal counsel to reach out to discuss any concerns or questions that may arise. This is a free service that is available to you as an EMC policyholder. It just sometimes helps to have someone to discuss that with and go over any concerns or questions that you may have. Some of the additional liability policies we have include your employee benefits liability. This is primarily for health insurance. or anything benefit related. In the event you have an employee that did not get put onto the health plan and they have a claim or something, you actually do have protection under your policy for that, and that's for employee benefits. It's a great added protection just for those just in case moments, or just in case issues. We also have a very important coverage that protects those that are sitting here at this table, what we call your linebacker or your employment practices and your directors and officers policy. This is going to be protection for you as a board and any county employee operating under the county direction or any county work-related direction.
What about appointed boards?
Yes.
They're included?
Yeah, they are. As long as they are acting within the scope of Coffee County. And they're not, creating their own sub-boards that go off and do something unrelated. So, but yes.
And the total amount of that coverage is?
We have $1 million for each loss or each claim.
Okay.
There is a deductible that does apply, and it's $2,500. And that deductible applies for not only for the settlement that may ensue or may follow, or it also includes the legal expenses or legal defense. Because ultimately, the most important part of your insurance is your defense, to have that backing and that protection.
So there's $1 million per occurrence, but there's also $1 million, that $1 million is also per policy period. So if you had an incident, then it would come off that million, and then the next, so if you had something where that policy paid out, say, $200,000, if you had another loss within the same year, then you'd only have $800,000 left. So, the amount that the policy will pay and the per occurrence happens to be the same, whereas on the general liability, you have double. And so there's $1 million, on per occurrence, but the $2 million, what we call aggregate, which is the per year. So on the linebacker, the E&O, it's the $1 million for policy year and occurrence.
Thank you, Janet.
In the day and age we're in, is that enough? And
You
liability
never know
insurance
what
don't
is
cost,
enough.
it don't
We can
cost
always
much.
quote higher limits to see, financially. When people ask us, you should always buy what you can afford. You just never know. But you're correct. We're seeing, suits to be a lot higher than what they ever were before. Attorney costs, are higher, just cost in general. So absolutely, we can quote to see what higher limits would be on that.
Because liability
To see if it makes
insurance
financial
normally doesn't
sense.
cost
less
a
time.
huge
Yeah.
amount of dollars.
To see if it makes financial sense, we definitely can quote that, because it's hard to make a decision on whether or not it's justifiable if you don't know the cost.
I think we discussed that last year.
It was discussed.
Determined that there's a state statute, a certain limit on us anyway, and I think we had met that statute, so.
Yes, I remember that right after I got on, we did have that discussion. There was some state statute, I don't remember what it is, but yeah.
Bobby, I don't know if you, I'm trying to watch the time for you. So
Oh,
I know there's a lot of information here to cover,
Okay.
and so I know it's hard, but I
Okay.
want to point that out too.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I was talking as slow as I was. A couple of the next policies for your liability is your crime policies. This protects for any employees that handle funds or handle any kind of monies and securities for Coffee County. We do have $50,000 in coverage for that. There is a deductible that does apply at the time of a loss. And the next, of course, is your law enforcement for the Coffee County Sheriff's Department. That, I will tell you, has adjusted a little bit this year, not only due to EMC has changed how they calculate. It used to be they adjusted your officer count at the time of your audit, and they coordinated with the clerk's office to gather that information. They've actually changed gears a little bit. So they now no longer adjust that audit, but we will adjust that number at the renewal. So that number for your officer count, we have 25 officers for full-time, 7 for part-time, 2 police dogs, and we did add 1 drone this year. We were informed that there's a drone that they're utilizing for operations for the Sheriff's Department. Skip over over a couple pages to your electronic or your cyber protection. This is going to be for the control, the security, and the maintenance of information. This can be not only information for taxpayers, this can be employee information or anything related to the operations of Coffee County. This is designed to be response coverage. So in the event of a breach or a loss, if those people need to be notified that there has been a breach or a loss, then this can provide some protection and some coverage for Coffee County. One of the other big sections, and it's probably one of the largest, is the auto policy section. We do have $1 million in liability for any auto-related or auto events. We do also have a $2,000 deductible that has been requested and implemented for any damage to a county vehicle based on the list that we have enclosed. So not every county vehicle automatically has both comprehensive and collision coverage, and that's been established by the commission as well as by the various departments. We have worked closely with not only Angie's office, but the different department heads to try to utilize and speak your language and use your vehicle information and your vehicle numbers, so that way you may understand more of what we're talking about at the time someone calls in, and that way we're able to speak that same language. So. And we do intend to review this with all of the department heads again this year, just to verify and make sure that there haven't been any changes that we need to update or adjust. One of the great things that EMC offers, I wanted to make you aware of, is that they have a glass repair or glass replacement waiver of deductible, meaning that there is no deductible for any glass-related claims. So that's a really great service because, you know, windshields are expensive. they can add up very quickly. Your workers' compensation policy is an audited policy, meaning the auditors come out each year and review the payroll information with Angie's office and verify and make sure that we have everyone classified and put into the correct operations. We do have $500,000 in liability for Coffee County. That's going to apply for any employee or any accident. You are getting a $19,188 discount with EMC just for being a long-term policy holder, but you also get an $11,878 discount for your experience rating, which is a 0.93. Anything under a 1 is always good, so you are automatically enrolled in a discount.
This was last year with a 7.2.
It was, yes.
Do we have claims?
Yes.
Okay.
0.93 is still a
Yeah,
very
it's
exceptional
good.
rate.
7.2 is way better.
When it comes to the model, very few businesses are
Yeah.
stay below even 1.5.
And we do have some things, real quick, that we can do if you feel like that mod is getting a little high. We've had success with other entities on putting a deductible on work comp, and we can go over that on another meeting or, you know, sometime on how that would be applicable. There's a way we can run like, what they call a test mod. And so we can put in like your specific claims data history and tell you like if you would have had $1,000 deductible versus no deductible, where that mod would be, if it'd be even a greater savings. But we can talk about that sometime too, but it is available, so you should be aware of that. If you get concerned about the mod getting higher than what it has been in the past, we can look at that.
I was just curious, I did not know. So.
Yep, it is an option.
You know, the premium jumped substantially too.
It did. And a large factor of that is that experience discount. Because you are going from that 0.72 to that 0.93. You are losing, you know, a potential discount, which is why you are seeing that.
Yeah.
I don't like the word jump, but you're seeing that difference this year versus last year.
Right.
One of the last things I wanted to kind of touch on this, well, actually, your last policy is your umbrella. This is an additional $1 million policy that does extend over several, not all, of the Coffee County policies. This adds an additional $1 million over your auto policy, your general liability policy, your linebacker or your D&O policy, or excuse me, directors and officers. It also extends over your workers' compensation policy and your law enforcement division or law enforcement liability. This $1 million is designed to pick up anything that may exceed your underlying policies. But this number, this insurance amount, does not refill. So on a policy year, if it has to be used for $250,000, it does not mean that you automatically have another $1 million for the remainder of the year. You would only have $750,000 for the remainder of that year. That is, again, something I believe we touched on last year about talking about additional coverages or increasing that number, and that is something that Angela and I have both looked at and reviewed and talked about whether now would be a good time or whether it would be beneficial. With the county assets, and yes, you did mention you are backed by that Kansas tort law, our only mention and recommendation would be, since county employees do leave the state of Kansas, that state of Kansas tort law does not follow you outside of state lines, I believe. I'm not an attorney, I cannot quote that. However, if someone does extend past the state of Kansas boundaries, that tort law does not follow you. So we would recommend, just based on looking at other counties, looking at the asset values of Coffee County, and looking at all of the variables that don't come into play, that might be something to consider. To increase from $1 million to $2 million would be your next tier, your next option.
And Bobby, don't you have that dollar amount
I
with
do.
you? Okay.
And if you don't mind, I want to mention that now. To increase that from $1 million to $2 million would only be an additional $4,798 annually.
We just don't let our employees go out of the state.
Well, that's something to talk about. That's an option.
You can do that?
No.
No.
The last page that I've included in the proposal is your premium summary, which does go over last year versus this year. And so you can see how each policy breaks down what that cost is to Coffee County. There have been some differences from last year to this year. Mother Nature is a large portion of that. The property was a large impact, as well as that workers' compensation policy. And then the auto policy does look like it had a pretty significant swing. However, we did do a comparison for you in the next couple of pages, showing you we did make several changes on the auto policy. Whenever you drop off an older and add a newer, sometimes that can affect your overall rates. And Janet, how are we on time?
Over.
Oh, okay. I do apologize. I don't want to continue to delay and push the agenda back any further. But the comparison that we've enclosed for you guys, it allows you to see what the rates have done from last year to this year, shows you more of that breakdown of information. And the very last 2 pages we included is this allows you to see what your policy's been up to over the last 5 years, just to see how things have potentially paid to date and what some of that historical information is. Of course, if any of that is of a concern or you would like more information about what that entails or what that all includes, Angela and I would be happy to visit with you guys about that. So I do apologize for kind of running you guys late. I thank you for your time today. I do hope if you ever have any questions or concerns that you'll contact Angela or myself. We're happy to kind of talk about anything or address any issues there might be.
It does look like increase this year over last year is gonna be 56,000. Basically, all that increase is in commercial auto or in workman's comp, and most of it's in workman's comp, $28,000. 22% increase, 21 or 2, whatever, figures out. It's a sizable increase.
It is.
But it also, I think we recognize we had some exposure this year, so. Anybody have any questions for Bobby or Janet? You've got three or four things we,
I think
we talked about.
the biggest thing we saw rate increase on is just property in general, and that's everywhere in our territory in general.
Mhm.
So, everything else was, the rate increased based off of those exposures.
Yeah.
For you specifically, if that makes sense.
I would, go back to the unmanned aircraft.
Yes.
I don't know what the value on that is, but what's the deductible on that?
That is actually just a liability.
It's just for liability?
Yes.
Okay.
That was one thing we had talked
Fly
about.
into your house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
Or crashes on the highway.
Okay, that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Close enough. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yep.
Bobby, there may be coverage in this, for a business. All businesses have insurance, or most of them do, for loss of income. If you lose a female or lose an elevator.
Sure.
Say we lose all of our road and bridge, or we lose something, and we gotta go out and lease a lot of equipment to keep up our responsibilities.
Mhm.
Do we have insurance to cover that?
Right now, we have 300,000 in leased and rented.
That's that 300
Yes.
you're talking about.
Yes. And then if we do need, at any time you feel that it is not sufficient or not enough, or, you do have an issue where you need to insure a lot more, we can definitely look at that.
And that's probably a pretty low end, or pretty low premium.
It is, yes, very low. Versus what a rental company can charge you versus what we can insure it for, there's a large difference.
So that's what that 300 is
Yes.
going towards, when we gotta go out and secure equipment to perform our job.
Yes. Absolutely.
I know businesses that have a business, and we're a business, those type of businesses, you're gonna have loss of income in place. And
Correct.
so, any questions for Bobby or Janet? If not, we'll take a look at this. We appreciate you coming
You
in
bet.
and bringing us up to date.
Yeah.
Even
And
though we're a little longer than what we probably submitted, it's important that we are aware of the coverage that we currently have.
Right.
So, appreciate you coming in.
Yes, thank you again so
Thank
much,
you.
and we'll talk to you soon. Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas. Oh, my.
Ready for us?
Okay. Next on our agenda, of course, is Mark and
I'm Richard
Kroll. I'm not sure I think I've met you once, but Richard, pleased to have you.
I'm gonna let Richard take the lead on this, because he's a city council member. He's also the chair of our community building committee, and he's kind of in charge of this project, so I'll answer any questions I can, but we'll let Richard take the lead.
First of all, thank you for your time, and I will try to take as little as possible. But in a nutshell, you guys can read through and see exactly what happened, but we were given this building because NSCIO could not take care of it. And so now we receive a building that was made out of odds and ends in the beginning. And we thank you for the $25,000 way back when that your predecessors gave, but now it requires the sizable investment to bring it up to 21st century standards. And so in that, we need some help with that. There's no way that we can, if you were to look at the bottom line, spend $127,000 over the next couple of years to bring it up to where we need to be. And we are hoping for a little support from you guys to allow us to continue to use that in a better fashion than what we have. And so, as you can see, we've already spent almost $40,000 in upgrades, whether it's to the parking lot or to the interior a little bit, but the kitchen and bathroom are woefully inadequate for the uses that we have. Just as a point of reference, when we had our last election, the folks there were having issues with the lights and the power wasn't working right. And so along with this, the gentleman that's taking care of things is going to, or moving the box and hopefully rectifying all of those issues. And so, knowing that we need this much money, I would love to say, yeah, I'd take $127,000 from you, but that would be rude. So, I'm actually asking for 50, which is going to wind up being about a third in the end, because we're also going to insulate above the ceiling tiles. We're going to put in a concrete walkway from the back door, which would be on the west side, to the front of the building, because while we made it ADA accessible in and out the door, how do they get from the door to the parking lot? So, that isn't included on here either. In hindsight, you know, looking back, you can always find something you can add, but I'm guessing that total, by the time we're finished, it's gonna be closer to 150, because, the appliances aren't even included for the kitchen. But anyway,
How long has it been in the ownership of New Strong?
we got it back 2 years ago.
Yeah,
It was
2017.
16 or 17, I believe.
I think.
Yeah, I think it was the end of 16. And so 2017, they said, hey, you can have it. And so that's when we started working on the parking lot. And then added the door in the back, and like I said, now the kitchen, and it's inadequately lit. There's no privacy in the bathrooms. There is, if you've been there, you understand what I'm talking about. It needs help.
Are these estimated values, are they pretty accurate to the best of your ability, Richard?
Let's see, the kitchen appliances, that one's estimated.
I've seen it.
The bid on the wainscoting and the face, that one is what we received. Ceiling grid, that was the best guess out of the gentleman. The 51,000 is the bid we have. He's starting, actually, I believe today or tomorrow, to go inside and start gutting things. So we're already in the process of doing that, but that's gonna stretch us pretty thin to spend $51,000 on it.
This is where I go back to, all the city's infrastructure money was granted, that total was in the year 2000, 1999, 2000. They're still operating their business, if you will, based off of money that was established in the year 2000. It's now 2020, and the price of everything has gone up dramatically. So there's where I go back to, I would really, really like to see all the cities get, basically, if you wanna call it a cost of living raise in their infrastructure, I guess call it that, but.
And if we addressed that or talked
Or
about
even
it, wouldn't that be
approximate.
done on a one-year project? We'd expand it over a 3-year.
Well, you know, and I did
Three-year
mention too,
projection.
that, you know, is a, just kind of a, I forget how I use the terminology, just a per project. I mean, this would be an ideal example of, for me, of, hey, we got this project we wanna do, increase our infrastructure funds to help them accomplish it.
How many days out of the year is the community building used?
A lot.
It's, yeah, I mean, there's sometimes where it's booked 3 weeks out of the month, but if I had to guess, I'd say it's better, more than 25%, close to 50.
25% of the days itself, so 90 days out of the year at
Probably
least it's used.
90 to 120-ish.
And if it was dressed up, be used more.
Correct,
You charge for that facility?
we do. And we actually just increased the rates that we charge, knowing that this is coming down the road. You know, it was just a few months back.
But you probably still don't charge very high rates.
No. No, it's usually about $100 a day.
Yeah, I think Leroy Community is 150 up front, but you get 100 of it back if you clean it up, leave it at, it's
Right.
only 50, so I bet it isn't over 100. I haven't been in for some time, but I do know there's some upgrades that need to be done.
Yeah, everything. So we're basically gutting the entire north half. I mean, there's, if you remember right, there's the office, that one room that's in the northeast corner, that's getting taken out.
Yeah.
And so that's gonna be changed to half kitchen and half storage. And then down the road, what is currently the storage is hopefully going to be made into, what would be, I guess, a wedding quarters. Because some people do have weddings out there and they need a special room to go to get dressed or whatever. And so that room needs updated too, but that's not included in this. Because we don't have the funds to do it currently. Again, just for lighting and the ADA accessibility, privacy issues. You know, there's not a stall in there that, you know, anyone with any kind of disability could use. Those are being added.
What's everybody's thoughts on this project?
I'm not against supporting their project, but I think we all ought to be aware that whatever we do for one community, that other communities will be requesting the same treatment.
The potential is there for, there's no question on that.
And I think we've done that. We gave Lebo money, we gave Waverly money, we gave Leroy money, we've done that.
Yeah, and I say,
I've just kind of pointed out, I'm not for increasing infrastructure. I think that was the benefit that you got, and I don't think that it requires that you get a cost of living or whatever each year with it. But I think we can help communities by helping with projects like this, instead of just take taxpayers' money and continue putting it out. If we can do this, and I agree with Tom, I think these are good deals when something like this comes along. But,
the deal of increasing your infrastructure money, maybe he wouldn't be here if he had more infrastructure money.
well, I understand that.
Yeah.
But,
But no, anything we can do for our cities.
and you're requesting 50, I'd like to have 50. I don't know, what do we,
Could also be a prime example of where a strong economic development director may be able to help find alternative funding sources for projects like this.
Exactly. As far as where it would come from, I think I leave that up to the ones with more experience than I, so.
usually when we do this, we take money from, community improvement.
Community improvement.
General fund.
Community improvements where it come out of, right?
Yeah, the general fund, community improvement
Yeah.
Yeah,
line item.
yes, which there's a substantial amount there.
Are you wanting it out of the reserve or the general fund department?
I think general fund, we've got it in the general fund. I would think that, I don't know, this question would be, I don't wanna make a motion and you guys decide to wanna give them too much, so. I'd like to see them get some, I don't know what the value is.
The most
That
important-
building benefits a lot of the community. I mean, people from Burlington,
Yeah.
I mean, even the Quail Forever
The
always rents it.
IBEW, they have a standing rental agreement on it, starting in January, and they meet every month.
Yeah,
The building goes away, we look for another place for elections out there,
yeah,
which they do not charge us for.
and as well, so.
Richard, the most important thing to you that needs to be upgraded would be the ADA, the restrooms and kitchen appliance.
Right,
Those would be the three areas that,
That is starting, like I said,
you know, the
now.
parking lot, you could probably make that work for a year or two.
Well, actually, we already spent money on the parking lot.
Okay. I haven't been there for several months.
Yeah,
The exterior would be nice if it was dressed up, but to me, to be attractive, most people, be nice to have the outside very attractive too. But to make it accommodating for weddings and
Correct.
rehearsals, the interior is the most important to
and
me.
that's why that job is going on now, as opposed to, because we looked at doing the outside, and in the beginning, you know, there was, what can we get done? And so they didn't think about the gutters on the front, and so then the water drained off the front, hit the salt that was on there, and that splattered up. And so all the screws on the front are what are coming apart. But, like you said, that takes a while, whereas the kitchen and the bathrooms needed done today. So we put off that summer job that we were going to do, so that we could do this now.
My thought is that, Richard's asking for 50, I wouldn't have any problem with getting in that 60 range to take care of those three particular areas that would really dress up the inside part of it. It wouldn't take care of the ceiling tile. I'm not sure how it looks, but it probably needs to be updated, but.
Yeah, 30-year-old ceiling tile.
But also anything we help them with frees up funding on their end.
Free up some other funds too.
Correct.
So,
Well, I will say the, ADA exterior emergency door, I think that was in their plans for when they were gonna do it, but a situation came up where they had to jump in and do it in 2018, which cost them $5,000 they were anticipating at that time.
yeah.
So that took some money away from them, but I think that was the original plan, so.
Well, I know we've advanced some funding for some other community centers here in the last 3 years since I've been. I think Waverly, Lebo. I know they've done some there, the senior center in Leroy, they had to redo the roof, and it was 6, 8, 10,000, I'm not real sure.
Right.
What's been done at Grid and
We
Burlington.
redid our roof as well, but
You
it's
can
not
see the
included in
carbon
this
mark
either.
it.
It had some spots where it was leaking and such.
I just kinda like to know what you guys are thinking, but I guess I got Don's idea.
Yeah, that's my fault on it, or my feel on it is, we absolutely need to work with them and make it a better structure, and that'll definitely increase our volume of business there.
50,000.
How much?
50,000.
50.
I'll make the motion if you're not going to,
Well,
just
just-
for time's sake.
Well, I'll move we give the city of, you can make it if you want, but I can make it. Okay, I'll move we, give the city of New Strong $50,000 for updating the New Strong community building. Funds come from general fund community improvement, capital outlay line item.
Okay, we got a motion before the commission, entertain a second.
Second.
Bob has moved, Cody is second, any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Richard, for coming in. We're at 9:57, so we're definitely running a little bit behind, which is not an issue. You wanna take a quick break, or you wanna, how long you need today, Wayne?
Well, I'll be
You gotta
going
make
over
stacks.
the project, so it may take a while, and be just a lot of discussion.
You wanna take a quick break? We'll take a quick break here for a few minutes, and then we'll be right back.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. Happy holidays.
Merry
Thank you,
Christmas.
commissioners. Appreciate your work, and gosh, appreciate everything that you guys do to make sure our county's strong and viable.
Thanks for
We
coming.
have a lot of wonderful support. I know Mike and the sheriff's, with the sheriff's department, SROs that we have, SRO we have with Jessica Stice and the county, staff that you guys provide help for us. We greatly appreciate it, so, okay.
We appreciate you.
Merry Christmas,
Thank
Craig.
you. Thanks.
Merry Christmas.
I'll try to get that up to you here.
Or just later.
It'll probably be there.
I say a little bit, my little bit.
That was 7-year-old Cody.
I already picked up a great big plate of cookies this morning from the water office. It's in the truck.
You've been into that?
No, I haven't. I thought about taking it home before I came down here.
Mike had to take a second look at you there at the grocery store yesterday. It's like you weren't wearing a uniform and
Right?
all like that.
Anybody want a cinnamon roll?
Sure. I barely remember going to the store yesterday. I got called to work, and my days kind of ran together. I got home last night, and I was sitting there thinking, did I go to school?
Mike can have my salmon roll.
Thank you, but no thank you.
Wayne?
No, thanks.
Karen?
No. But thank you.
You're welcome.
I think I'll kind of pass until we get to the tail. I will eat one before I leave.
That's probably what'll happen to me. I probably will eat one before I leave.
Oh, it looks delicious. Did you make those, Donna?
Yes.
Ah.
She's learning.
You know, some it just takes years, you know.
I saw Haley
Oh, you, okay.
Saturday at
Yeah.
Bath and Body Works.
Yeah.
She was just coming on to work when I went in.
every weekend, they're required to work, especially on the holidays.
She's the sweetest young lady.
We are very, very proud of her, absolutely.
Mike, that's probably gonna move you to that, in that 10:30 range, that presented a problem for you.
And Mike's a quick one, he can move ahead of me if you like.
Well, if you move Mike ahead of you, you might take Karen and Brad, all three of them ahead of you, and that's not, we need it.
Yeah, however you wanna do it, however you wanna do it.
We'll just go with you, Wayne, and
Okay.
keep it short and sweet.
Well, I could do that too. Yeah, Mike's saying you're right, yeah, that's not gonna happen.
I don't see anything from Wade yet.
Okay. If we haven't got a chat, probably won't. Okay, we're back in session. Wayne, what do you have for us here today?
Well, I do have a hand carried motion. We did receive some bids on a tractor. Like to visit with you on that. And then also from our last week is to discuss, start the discussion phase for 2020 projects, since we did not go out and take a look at the project. But also too, I need to have Angie is to arrange a public hearing, at least to be scheduled for the 30th. Is to have a public hearing on the 2020 projects. And this would be the book that I present and our final discussion.
Question, why are we having public hearings on Union? Is that our responsibility? We represent the
It's
people of
every
the county,
year.
and it's our responsibility to
Yeah.
represent them, and
Every year in the statute, Bob, and I'd be glad to get you
Okay.
the statute, but every year it's to recognize that the community has a right to listen to what projects have been done, completed, and to also have input on any type of projects that they would feel would be beneficial to the community. That is something ever since Doug, that I was here, and is to make sure that at least we have that opportunity, be formalized or be unformalized. Statutorily, I think it's formalized, but it's been just a lot that we would have this discussion. It was part of the schedule, was part of the agenda, so that's where it was. Hopefully I explained it that way.
How long do you need on that one?
Probably, 10 minutes. We generally don't have a lot of comment. I mean, we cover it quite well.
Public hearing on,
It'd be the 2020 construction projects, road and bridge projects.
it's going to take you 10 minutes to explain it.
I will, yeah, I'll take your challenge.
Is that what you're saying?
I'll take your challenge.
You're less
You
than
bet.
10 minutes.
Yeah, I'll take your
Okay.
challenge.
But
It can always be
but
longer,
if anybody has,
or it can be
if
shorter.
anybody has questions.
Yeah, it can always be both. So, but I guess, with the all, with the, we're making sure we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's for all these meetings. I'm just wanting to make it formalized that I'm asking for it. No road permits, no zoning permits, no comments at this point on the landfill. I do have, and this, as I say, we did receive the bids on these. This is a hand carry motion. Now, this one here, I'm asking for your help on this, if you would, if you'd entertain some discussion onto it, because I have multiple options, and that's where I'm at. That with this, as you'll see, we had received 3 bids on a John Deere tractor. There are some differences. It's not the tractor itself, but the difference is, one is the delivery date. So, on the motion itself, number B, the first one, if we bought it through basically the Sourcewell, this is what we've used before. This is John Deere, but it basically they do the purchasing order through Sourcewell. If we order it that way, the tractor will not be delivered for approximately 6 months, it'll be about June say July, possibly when it becomes available to us. It is a mowing tractor. It is a tractor we're using for our mowing services. But as you can see there, with the trade-in, the total amount would be the $92,635. That would be for a tractor that if we order through John Deere, through Sourcewell, we would receive it in 6 months. We order one that had already been ordered, and so as we know with most of this equipment nowadays, they don't place a lot of stock out there in front. They'll actually take it where they either have an order or they have a minimum inventory for equipment. And so with this particular one, this was already ordered, and it has a delivery date of February, and that's the B at the bottom. Okay, so the B at the bottom, this is same tractors, but two different motions. One motion would be Sourcewell, the other one would be what I consider to be best bid. And that one would be in February, a delivery date in February, so potentially it would be operational, say in March, and it would be available for our start of our mowing season. But it does have a price difference onto it. Now, the thing is what you're seeing there, if you just round numbers, you're talking about somewhere around $4,000. But the difference also on this particular one is not only the date that I state, that basically in February 2020, but it's also the assembly with the additional loader assembly, ready attachments. Its value for that loader assembly ready attachments, something that we didn't spec, but something that we do use, is $6,161. That's part of this tractor that could be delivered in February and be operational in March. So now a person says, well, Wayne, why are you wanting a tractor that doesn't have, and you didn't spec the loader attachments? Well, we do have tractors right now. We do have a few of these tractors, I believe there's only 2 of them right now, that do have this type of loader attachment. So this is your front end loader that goes on the John Deeres. And so this would be at least outfitted to be able to put that front end loader attachment onto it. We do use those occasionally, and so it could be something that would be utilized in the fleet if we did receive this tractor. So mine is I have 2 options, and this is where I'm asking you to help me, is to say that if we want this one tractor, which would be the low bid of the $92,635.41.
But it doesn't have the attachment.
It does not have the attachment. It will not be delivered until, it's 6 months, so June, practically, say July. And it is a mowing tractor. It does not have the attachment. The other one does have the attachment, and it would be ready, most likely in March, and it would be ready to start for the mowing season. But it does have an attachment that has a value of $6,000 versus the difference of $4,000. So actually, you perhaps save, you could say that you're saving some at that point too, but that's where we're at.
Where I'm at is we recently just threw out all the salary studies because one of them included an HR study and the other one didn't, so.
Well, on this one, there was 3 options that we have totally. So mine is, they're the same tractor. So in that particular apple, I don't know.
I don't need it, but.
To me, one of the issues might be, you're gonna be mowing with the one that comes in June or July for 3 months, the motor goes down. You'll spend more than $4,000.
The tractor we're trading in does have close to 10,000 hours.
So you have a little potential risk there for 3 months of mowing.
That is correct.
But it could not go down too.
It could not, I understand that.
It could not go down.
I kind of go back with what Tom just said, too, and you said we have other tractors that have the front loader accessible.
Yes.
We have skid loaders, we have big loaders, we have all kinds of loaders. If we need a tractor that needs the front loader, why can't we use one of them other tractors?
We can.
And my next question is, we've been buying a lot of red lately. Why is there no bids on red?
On this particular one, we had the John Deere, the Case IH. We had purchased several of the Case IHs. Most of our fleet is John Deere. It's not to say that we're wanting to go all green, but on this particular case, we felt that John Deere was the better product for us because of filter inventory, maintenance type inventory that we have versus continuing to get more Case IH. So that's basically it. The Tier 4 finals are pretty much in for all of the equipment nowadays, even the Case IH. We were buying Case IH initially because they did not have the Tier 4 final. They had the Tier 4, and so that was one of the incentives to go ahead and get the Case IH. But we've always been heavy on the John Deere, and it's always been a good product, a good tractor for us.
Are the red ones not doing what they're supposed to be doing?
When we sent out the bids, all of it was available to basically bid, but the only bids that we received was the John Deere.
That's what I really wanted to know.
Yeah.
We did not receive any red bids.
No, I'd have to present all of that to you, but yeah, that is correct.
Okay, that's what I
Yes,
wanted to
sir.
know. 'Cause I know we had bought red last 2 or 3 times for mowing tractors.
Yes, we did.
Just to clarify, Case IH did have the opportunity to bid this.
They had the opportunity as much as anyone else. That is correct. It is advertised according to our policy into the local newspaper, and so all that information is there.
You did not contact them directly.
But we did not contact them directly.
Did you contact
John Deere? Yes.
directly?
Yes.
Which direction?
Well, my only point, I guess my only concern is that I'm not as scared of using an old tractor for 2 or 3 months mowing that we have.
I just brought this subject
And
up and
I don't see a reason that we would spend $4,000 more. I know we're getting a $6,000 item for front ends, equipment and stuff, when we have other tractors that could be used for that stuff. And so,
Well, I'll go back to my original thought was, we threw out all of the salary studies because one of them included an HR audit and the rest didn't.
Yeah.
This guy included quick attach, or the other guy didn't. They were contacted directly. Case IH was not contacted directly. I'm sure they don't get our local newspaper to see whether or not we're bidding something. So.
Well, Tom, just to clarify, the 3 tractors are all from the same company. So that's why I'm saying that the apples to what your comparative was. You had 3 different companies that had bid on the salary survey. This is the same company. This is John Deere. Has 3 options for us to consider. One is in stock. Basically, it's on the lot. Same tractor, same company. This is what the price would be. One tractor's in process of being made, and it could be delivered in February. Same company, same model tractor. And then the third one would be basically same company, same tractor, but purchased through, and which would have to be built from scratch, purchased through the Joint Powers Association.
are these all through Prairie Land Partners?
Yes, sir.
Even the
All 3
government purchasing allowance deals through
Right.
Prairie Land?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
So actually,
That's why I'm-
Prairie Land's giving us some
Does
different
that make
options.
sense, Tom?
I think Tom's point of view is that
Well,
Case wasn't notified directly and John Deere was.
That is correct. That is correct.
Yeah.
Prairie Land's about the only John Deere dealership you need to deal with anymore. They pretty well control the eastern half of Kansas.
We do have,
Big end of it.
we have minimum, there's a regional sale area that you only contact for the most part, one organization or one company that represents that product.
I guess the way it was typed up kind of misled me to believe this is another company completely outside of Prairie Land Partners.
Yeah, we don't use this too often, but the Joint Powers Association is an option through government pricing. And what happens is any of the organizations, even like our our truck beds, our plows.
So what, I guess I don't understand. If this one right here is prairie land and this one right here is prairie land.
Mm-hmm.
It's no different than buying your Oreo cookies at Hoover's or Walmart or wherever. Somebody's gonna give you a different price, but you're gonna get the same Oreo cookies.
I'm kind of, Fred touched on it, Thomas touched on it too, and I'm kind of the way with the Case IH. We've had good luck with their Case IH tractors, and we're asking for a mowing tractor. I think that we probably should have contacted them as well as John Deere. I mean, we have a Case IH dealer down in Iowa, which isn't that far away from us. That would be my only concern.
Their base is out of Missouri. I'm not sure how big of an operation that is, but I know their base is out of Missouri.
Keeping in mind is what I'm asking too is we can get, there's a lot of good products out there, and I won't speak bad on any of them. But also too is when you're dealing with, and I would think in this particular instance is we're dealing with mowing tractors for the most part. Having a product line that when things go down, that's somewhat common, in which there are repairs seasonally on these vehicles. If we have parts available, and we have also maintenance filters and different things like that available for that product line without keeping a wide stock of different type of equipment, it makes us more efficient in being able to get it repaired. And so keeping with the John Deere, not saying we're exclusively John Deere, but if you take a look at our list, you'll find that we only have, outside of all the tractors, we only have 4 that are Case IH, and we have a Kubota, and then all the rest of them are all John Deere's. So there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 John Deere's currently in our fleet. We can continue to inject other tractors into our fleet, but you'll also find too that you need to continue to build stock and inventory to keep them running.
But we do the same thing in our big trucks. We have Max, we have Kenworth, we have Internationals.
We have about 3 product lines that we use in our trucks, and so, but on the same purpose, we try to keep it the same way, is to minimize the amount of different models that we have, and those are basically the 3, is what you're talking about. Now the Max, we haven't bought a Mac in a while, but we do have the Max, we have the Kenworths, and then the Internationals, I believe. That is correct. So I have 3 motions, or I have at least an option of 2 motions. One is once again, they're all being purchased from the Prairie Land Partners. One would be through the...
I'll go back to apologize that when I read option B on your first motion, I just assumed it was a different company, so.
Oh, no, that's fine.
It doesn't say Prairie Land Partners, it just...
It's a different avenue for us to purchase through on that one time. We don't use it too often.
I don't. Okay.
It sounds like a little bit of discussion, Wayne, boils down, we touched base with John Deere and we didn't touch base with International. It sounds like that may be a little bit of a subject here.
And that's true. That is true. We did in our bidding process or request for bids, we did allow some options, but it hasn't been too uncommon also to be exclusive on certain models. And I think you'll find is our lack of formalizing a contact with them is our preference was the John Deere. And so that was our preference at the beginning, was to try to maintain the John Deere inventory.
I don't see this as an exclusive deal. We have 3 Case IHs. When we bought the first one, we thought it was a good deal. Well, all we had was John Deere before that, and then we decided to throw a red one in it. then we kept going with the red one, so personally, Mr. Chairman, I think we should, reject these and go back out and contact Case IH. And I don't think that we need to be looking at a tractor that adapts to a front-end loader when we have some that already will do that. I think the idea is to conserve some money.
I'm not opposed to that part at all. I mean, it makes their life simpler and quicker and easier. It's just the fact that even though it was advertised in the paper, they were not contacted directly.
Now, we got a motion before, so I'd entertain somebody to move.
If I could make a final comment.
Okay.
Once again, we're dealing with the Tier 4 finals, that we're dealing also with the Case IH is 4 cylinders and in the Tier 4 finals. That is basically, as we've had choices in the past, we had 6 cylinders on the Tier 4s. So one of the reasons why we went to Case IH was that we were able to get Tier 4s versus the Tier 4 finals that was already readily available in the John Deere. We were able to buy at least 2 models that were not the Tier 4 finals. They were the Tier 4, so we had emissions. And that was really the only reason, for the most part, that we went red, is we were able to move the emission, basically requirements that we had in our tractors. That would have, that also helped us in the maintenance side of it. So I can't say this looking in the past, but I would say that it's most likely that if it wasn't for the fact of the Tier 4 finals, we probably would have stayed with John Deere. And so the whole reason of moving up to the Case IHs at that particular time was you could get a tractor that didn't have the all the emissions that was in the tractor.
I have 2 questions. Do the Case and the John Deere have similar specs? I mean, can you spec them and they can both bid?
For the most part, yes. We try to do that as we put that spec out there.
And how long have you had the Cases?
We've had, our first one was 2014 Case IH.
And have you had any problems with it?
I have not heard any distinct problems that would exclude them to say that they're just a bad tractor.
Okay.
For a second time, I'll ask if anybody wants to move.
I would move that the bids be resubmitted and include Case IH.
And if we contact one, we need to contact the second one.
That would be understood.
Well, there's more than 2 out there. I mean,
Yeah.
our bid, our RFP was for, what, Wayne, was there a brand?
There's
We specified we wanted John Deere 63.
we keep this, we put it in the newspaper, but if I may too, and this is, there is a difference. We actively solicited 2 John Deere. We called them up, okay? But, anything I put in the newspaper, which Mark will attest to, actually is being picked up by all these companies that are contracted by these other companies to contact them to let them know when bids are in. Because I'll get folks from California that'll call me on culvert pipes. But beyond that, I'll go in and say that as we rebid this, and the request is to rebid it, we're looking at, from the original bid that was put in the newspaper, we're looking at a John Deere 630M, a Case IH 125, or a New Holland T6.
That was what you put in the paper?
Yes, sir. Or a Cat Challenger MT 475E.
What about Kubota? We have a Kubota dealer. Real
The
close.
only thing
I mean,
is,
that's the
you
thing.
directly, you put that in the paper, then you directly contacted John Deere for John Deere.
For their bids. Yes, sir.
Well, I'll go ahead and second Fred's motion, so we'll
Got a
continue to have.
motion.
Well,
discussion.
I'm not sure now whether I wanna go with that motion, since it was pointed out that there were other tractors available as well.
In our spec.
Let's amend my motion to say that it would
Contact
include
everyone.
all tractors in the area that would meet spec.
As per that spec, I can contact everyone.
I think I would change my motion to that.
Okay, I'm gonna let Angie read that motion back to us.
Yeah, I really don't have,
You know,
Oh, come on.
a mess.
move to retract all bids,
To reject the bids
reject the bids,
as submitted, and, requesting that it be rebid with, contacting each dealer for the tractors listed in the, request for proposal,
contracting each what?
each dealer
Dealer, okay. And
in the requested proposal.
What's the Kubota tractor we have do with it?
We don't have, no, the Kubota tractor is for our seating group.
Okay, so
It's just
It's
smaller.
Okay,
tractor.
just a small one, okay.
They probably don't have one big enough to handle this, Bob, but
I have one
I.
sitting in my garage. They'll handle it.
Okay. If Kubota,
Where the product lines
yeah,
grown immensely.
yeah, I know it has.
Probably an 86 would handle it, any problem.
Well, the reason for my motion is that unless we have more than one product line, we really don't have a comparison.
Correct.
I agree to that.
Have you got that?
okay, so
I'm
I'll
gonna
read it and then you can correct me. Move to reject all bids as submitted, rebid, and contacting each dealer in the requested proposal.
Yeah. Does that sound
Each dealer in the,
in the
Each
request?
dealer in the requested proposal.
Yeah. The ones that I just
okay,
mentioned?
you know, Kubota is really coming into the market, and I think they have comparable equipment. And, actually, the Kubota man used to be a Coffee County citizen well, the dealership.
The owner of it now lives in Anderson County, not too far from Coffee.
And I don't think that putting one more name on there is gonna be a problem.
One more name wouldn't hurt, I think.
Well, if they meet specs, they meet specs.
If they meet specs,
Yeah.
if they meet specs, they meet specs. I mean, we're only 40 miles away from us, so.
Yes, store equipment out of Iowa, may ought to have the opportunity.
And I'll continue my second with how Fred adjusted it.
We got a motion on the floor and a second on the floor to reject the bids, as Angie has quoted in the minutes. Is there any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0.
Kubota's got a pretty large
And Wayne, I
manufacturing
prefer John
facility.
Deere
They're
too,
built
but
not too far away from here.
unless we have something else, we don't have
They got very good, well, that's fine.
I've got a John Deere.
I
Right.
run all John Deere's myself.
But if there were a big difference, I might consider something else.
Well, I mean, just, once again, supporting the intention of the group in basically what they felt the best tractor would be is, my job. And my job is to bring the recommendations of what we feel that would work best in our group. And
it may end up still being the best bid.
All right,
but,
so,
Okay, what else you
got?
What else do you have for us, Mark?
that'll work. Okay, well, what we have is, just to go over a few of the projects. They're not gonna be exclusively everything that's, we normally get in the book. So I'd like to start with, our hot mix. And so, this is a history map, and then it also has the proposed 2020, so I'm gonna put that out there first. Now, on this is, I believe we have 1.5 million in asphalt for 2020. So that's what I'm working on. 1.5 million. So, this is a talking point. it's little, you can see the years onto it, say for like the green over on Fauna between 22nd and Old Highway 50, and I apologize,
What
the
year is
small,
the yellow?
down here at the very
What
bottom,
year is the yellow?
2011,
Okay,
yeah.
I couldn't make out what year it was here.
I needed to have a bigger sheet so you could actually read the numbers, so please ask if you're not seeing a number, I'd be glad to tell you the year onto it. But I get right to the point, and I assume you're not really wanting a lot of time here, so I'm gonna just get right to the point. 2020 for hot mix asphalt, one of the stretches that we're proposing is over on Trefoil. The original, the last time that had any work done on it as far as hot mix was in 2011. And we had the Nova chip put in at that point. But Trefoil from 22nd to 25th Road would be hot mix. We have a dot or circle, and this would be the intersection at Shetland and Old Highway 50. Right there at that intersection, actually the intersection is starting to break apart. We're seeing a lot of alligator cracking that's occurring there, so that's going to require some work. That same type of repair is going to also be required down there at Leroy, right at California Street and 58 Highway. Now that particular intersection is held up well with all the heavy traffic. We had went in, and Don, I think you remember that years back, went in and done some repair onto it, but it is starting to fail, I mean, just over time and over the number of vehicles. And so it's going to need some attention as well, and that would be just at the intersection 58. The other area on 2020 projects would be over at Shetland between 12th and 16th, would be hot mix asphalt, and we would place the hot mix there. That one, once again, last time we done any hot mix onto it, it was in 2011. The next section is, and we did not have a record on hot mix, so at this point, short of doing a core onto it, this is a chip seal type road, and what it is 13th, should be, and that's incorrect, that's not 13th Road, that should be 13th Lane, that should be a half mile north. I apologize if you can make that correction. On 13th Lane, what we're seeing is traffic is actually, since we had put a weight limit on the embankment road, we're seeing traffic coming down 12th Road and then coming up what they call 16th or Links Road, and then they go over on 13th Lane, and then they enter 75 at that point. And so we're seeing a wheel rutting that's starting to occur on that particular section. The section...
13th, you sure that's 13th Lane?
I believe so.
I think you're right, 13th.
Was
goes
it
by
13th
Jeff's?
Road? 13th Road?
By Jeff's, that's
Yeah.
13th Road.
13th, thank you, Bob, for correcting me
Yeah.
on that. Okay,
The one-
you're right, that's
The one
gravel,
there's a
half mile.
north
north
of
of
13
the
Lane.
lane.
That's gravel, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so 13th Road, that was correct, I apologize. 13th Road, we would also be on links between 13th and 14th, that particular section. Now, a person would ask, well, why are we not doing 14th right there between links? And they're still doing the dredging, they're still working in that area. That road's starting to fail to the point where actually hot mix asphalt's not gonna be the fix. What we're gonna have to do is actually grind that up and redo the base onto it once we get there, but we really like to see that activity to where they're done with that activity for the most part before we start doing any repairs there. So we could go ahead and do that mile of links between 13th and 14th, and then once again we would go on 13th Road, and thanks for correcting me, on links to 75 Highway. And then there's that short section on Links Lane between 12th Lane and 13th Road. as we enter into the school, in there. That little section there is kinda hard to see, but we would add that section in for hot mix asphalt as well. The last part, which does not...
You gonna mill that?
Beg your pardon?
You gonna mill those?
Each one of those, I'll reevaluate, come spring and see how they're working. If we're having build-up issues, then it'd be milling would be part of the function. If we can fill in the wheel ruts with a leveling force, then we would be looking at that. The most economical, way we can get the biggest bang for our buck. There are times for milling, and that's when we have a lot of cracking that may be occurring on the surfacing. But without this season, I can estimate at this point just overlays, and then I can better evaluate it come spring prior to the bidding process.
12th Lane and Links Lane, that little section, now part of that's in the city, or where's the city limits? Do we own the road itself? Do you know?
There has been there was some discussion in our group that basically that actually had went up to, and we had maintained that through the city portion of it. The city limits do come out there, at least to the quarter mile, it would appear. But I'd have to do some more research on that one, Bob.
I mean, I'm not against it, I just was curious, that some of that will be, if it's down the center of the road, will actually be in the city, right?
We'll have to do some more research onto it.
I'm not against doing it.
Yes.
'Cause it's
And
very well used.
anything that we do within the city, we'll be coordinating with them as well. But those are the hot mix asphalt projects that we're looking at this point.
Bridge resurface west of New Strong, is that the right color? Is that in the 2020?
Those shades, I tell you what,
it's hard to tell
those
if it's a
shades.
20 or
Looks like
19. That's a 19. Yeah, that's a 19.
It should be a
You're right.
19. It should be
I see
more
it.
orange, I guess, but
Okay.
yeah, those shades are difficult for me too. That's why I had Kenny just go ahead and put the dates on there.
Yeah.
It made it easier for me. But, I mean, we've had a lot of history on our maps. We've been keeping a record for a long time. The next one would be our chip seals projects. And so, we try to keep our chip seals between 50 to 60 miles every year, and so you're going to find that here for the most part as well. And I'll bring that sheet here next week. That'll give you the breakdown onto it. But right now, the first one would be 12th Road. For the most part, between Quail Lane and the Yearling, the county line. So that would be, on that particular one, what you're seeing is router and crack fill, and then maintenance seal. Now, our maintenance seal consists of a chip seal. It also consists of fog seal for the most part. We try to put our fog seal onto it. We feel that it's been very successful in doing that combination. So we're continuing that process. I believe we're getting more use out of our roads for it, due to it.
Why are we starting in the middle of why aren't we?
Most of that would need to be the fact that's where we stopped and started, and that is not normally the case. We will research that one just to make sure.
Okay,
If it's not there, we don't start there.
I just wondered why we weren't going.
Normally, they would stop or start at the mile or an intersection. But since it is marked, I'm going to just go ahead and put it there, but I'll just let you know that we'll be double checking that one. The Gold Post Road is one in which we actually had for this year, but we were not able to get there, 2019, so it's actually a carryover. the one down there, south of Leroy, it is common for us, even though we put hot mix asphalt, is to go back and chip seal over the hot mix asphalt, the given next year. They have shown, studies have shown actually the sooner that you seal the hot mix, actually the longer that you, allow it to be preserved and actually prevent the water from coming through the hot mix asphalt getting to the subgrade. So, that's proposed, but I will say too, that type of, operation, generally, is put on the last, of the agenda, because, if we don't have time for it, we can let it go another year, and it's not necessarily a major problem for us. We do have, down Leroy, we have a couple miles in that area, but we also have an area that's, needing to be double chip sealed. That would be, equivalent to what we call Reaper Lane, between, 4th Lane and 5th Road. That particular area had been chip sealed for several years. It has broken down to a point that it's, right now back to gravel. So, put it back into basically double chip seal. We also have that section, I don't believe we finished this, and this would be down by Gridley. And this would be, what Emmer, help me out on this one, Bob. Emmer, is that Emmer Terrace, or, Dobbin Terrace?
No, it'd be Emmer. It would be.
No, would that not?
Emmer, you going by the lake?
No.
Or where you?
It would be,
Oh.
it'd be west, it'd be Dobbin.
Dobbin, yeah, it ain't goes across
Dobbin,
the country.
yeah, it kinda goes a little bit, so, that particular one, it'd be just that south portion right there, and it broke up on us, so we'd have to double check that. It's not listed on here, but we'd do that one. The one over by the lake, yes, that'd be Emmer Lane, and, that would be a, router, crack fill, and chip seal. Emmer, from 58 Highway going north to 12th would also be a chip seal. But I'm gonna touch on that just a little bit. We also have two bridges there. That's gonna be the seal, of course, the epoxy seal that we're gonna have on that as well. So, that's gonna require just a little bit of coordinated effort, to accomplish, for this year. So, we'll schedule it as we can. The other one would be Fauna between 12th and 16th. We have a scrub seal right in there, and so what we have is, if I wasn't chip seal on that one, Tom, that's one where I would basically mill it if I was putting hot mix asphalt onto it. But with the cracking onto it, is we can fill those cracks with the scrub seal. It seems to be the best solution for us. And then what we do is we scrub seal, we chip seal, and then we fog seal over the top of all of that. And so that gives us a pretty good surface after that. We also have that section over on 16th, between Fauna and the county line. We have a little bit up in Jacobs Creek, and then there's also a small section up there that's gonna be a double chip seal. So that means we grind it, relay it, and double chip seal it. We have a little bit, as well. Now, when we're grinding and doing our double chip seals, we need to really have some good weather for the season. That does take a little bit of effort, some time, to accomplish. So, we also have planned at this point over there by Optomwa, some roads up in that area as well. So we take care of those. So, for the most part, that would be our chip seal operations.
Iris Lane on the Tumwa, we actually have that blacktop down into basically no man's land. It's underwater an awful lot. Are we going too far with the blacktop? Should we not just stop at that corner, which would be basically like 17th?
We can
not maybe check that out, because we may be going too far into putting money underwater and washing out on us all the time.
We can take a look at the residence and see where the last house is, and stop it there perhaps. Would you like to do that?
Yeah, I think we should.
There's not a lot of traffic, but it does allow access to the wildlife refuge.
Yeah, I think it makes a square there, but I think that the line may just not be quite accurate. It goes on down where it just runs into the lake, is what it does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Keeping in mind that Optomwa is a subdivision, we do have, basically, that is a subdivision plat within the county.
I guess my question would be, why they're on 17th, why we don't, instead of going south there, that part could go across on 17th over and catch that little, makes the rectangle in a tunnel.
I could get, I'll take a look at it, and I'll get some pictures and maybe with some aerial photos onto it, and then show you where our stopping points could be, or...
No reason to put asphalt in the lake.
I wouldn't think that the fish would utilize it as much as others, so I agree with that too.
What's the concrete project you had?
That would, okay. Well, the first one that just jumps to mind would be, the parking lot right in here, and that would be the courthouse parking lot. Is that not right, Angie? And I'm not for sure if we would be doing that one or not, with time
I was
schedules.
just on here, so I didn't know.
Yes. Well, Angie, you won't have it on the map, but we've had this, actually last year, we had went out there and marked out all those fault areas and joints. And so, you know, with weather limitations of time, what we did have, and comments to try to find more economical ways to utilize our forces, then, you know, that could be a project that's actually not going to be done by our crew, but rather one which might be contracted out. But we can enter into that more.
I was just curious what it was.
But that's it.
Thank you.
This one here would be replacement project. Now, I'll just jump right into that one. So, here you go down. A lot of these are carryovers from last year, ones that we were not able to get finished. You'll find that we had spent here next Monday. You'll find basically a list where we had spent considerable amount of time and resources on the flooding, close to 3 months actually, and there had stopped us from a lot of projects that we had planned. And in those conditions too, it also prevented us from being able to get to those projects, not only for the time that we had spent onto them, but the conditions to be correct to be able to do work out there. Say like the ditching was just constantly wet throughout the summer. So some of these you'll find, if you compare the 2019 to 2020, you'll find a lot of carryover. But the biggest one is to note that on these circles that have the little hatches in them are the not only 6 but 7, since we are agreeing to work with the City of Burlington. We have 7 bridges that will have the resurfacing and overlay done here in 2020. That's going to be a big project. We have not seen that before. I will let you know there's really no way of keeping that bridge open, Don, and we've had these discussions. The bridges aren't wide enough. They're not wide enough to allow a single lane. So when they're doing that work, that bridge, there will be a detour at each one of those. Now, I did ask Moni to bid it, or to put in the contract to bid for the high early concrete, meaning that once we can get strength, they can open it up sooner. And so we're going to pay a little premium onto it, but the premium that we're paying is offsetting the time it would take to actually for the concrete to cure before they could actually do any other type of work to open it up.
Now, you mentioned it's not wide enough, but if they could only do half at a time, it'd be plenty wide enough for vehicles, pickups and cars, but not farm machinery.
No, it would not be wide enough.
Okay.
The other side is too that they must maintain a clean surface. If you ever done like epoxy on your garage floor, the best comparative I could find is you need to have a very, very clean surface to be able to put this epoxy coating on. And that's the biggest deal. That's the biggest deal on it.
We just
And
have
then
to try
the-
to pick the right dates for that, and that's gonna be hard to find the right
Yeah.
dates. I mean, July or August is probably the only 2 months a person would even look at.
It's gonna be a small inconvenience, but if we don't do the work, the larger inconvenience would be to replace the structure within a short period of time. That's gonna take months versus a month.
Yeah.
And that must be the understanding of folks, is just to say that, we're making a small investment, for a larger, period of this structure staying in operations for us. And so, it's gonna be inconvenient. There's not gonna be a question about it. It will be inconvenient. But at the end of the day, we're gonna be able to enjoy that bridge at a much longer period. And actually, it will, cost us less now than it will later. So, a lot of positives to go with it. Folks will just have to be patient with us. And
Inconvenience with progress.
but we will make every effort to try to group some of these that we, have minimum impact as much as possible, but we will have impact.
This bridge in Burlington, which one is the circle? Is that both of them there, or?
No, there's one structure right there where that north edge continues to, the hub guard has broken off, and the north edge is actually, encroaching upon the road just a little bit.
You know, these are two bridges?
There are two of them right there, but only
Actually-
one of them is the one that we're dealing with.
Okay, we're not dealing with the other one?
No, not
Okay.
this one.
Okay,
No,
that's what I,
yeah.
okay.
And there's also too, if I can, I'm gonna just jump back one thing I missed. On the hot mix roads, because I wanted to catch on another point when you talked about that bridge, and hopefully you'll find a correlation. On the hot mix roads, when I was proposing the 2020 projects, keeping in mind that I have $1.5 million, what also I'm gonna be looking at is Old Highway 50. Now, but I don't have a hot mix project on there. What I have is in March, we have an application for high-risk rural roads from local projects that's coming out. And if I could take some of that money, this is gonna be more discussion I'll have with you. You will be a part of this. But I will basically be able to commit more money towards that funding, which we could possibly get repairs done on that narrow road and get those edges, basically fixed up to truck traffic. And so some of that money on the hot mix will actually be towards that application, or at least pledged towards that application, but it will be continued discussion. But Old Highway 50 is an ideal candidate for high-risk rural roads, because one, it's a 20-foot road, it's a narrow road, and it is unsafe at 20 feet. And so, that's the reason why that application would be more favorable, but it would be a continued discussion I have with him.
When are your cores gonna be done on 50?
He won't have those until about the middle of January. So, we'll continue that. The other one was, Bob, as I was just pointing out, there might be a few things that's not on these maps that I wanted to just have discussion with. And the reason why is because when we're looking at these structures, and you had pointed out this, I also take into account our discussion that we had for weight limits on our bridges. We're gonna have these bridges inspected again, and with the new guidelines on weight limits, there potentially could be more bridges that's gonna be required to have weight limits. So one of the comments that you said, which that's the direction I've been taking, is to say if we have a bridge that's weight limited, or has a weight limit on it, or requires to have a weight limit on it, that should be moved up on the priority list as far as replacement. And that is the direction we've been trying to go to. And so, with that is to say that what you're seeing right here might also be another list that's gonna start developing. They may not be replaced in 2020, but they will be placed in a 5-year type plan, that will be available to you to basically review and continue to move forward on. So, leave that one alone, and, move on to 2020 maintenance. 2020 maintenance is gonna be, The highlights of this one is, Mathias Lake, discussions that we've had, work that we've already had proposed in 2019, work that we're proposing in 2020, to continue that, process. Is Mathias Lake is on there, also that, ditching project right there at in Leroy, or near Leroy.
You have an estimated cubic yards of dirt you'll be moving on the Mathias Lake project?
I do not have it right available with me, but
You got it.
I could come up with something. Yes. We know the ditch size, so we know the area of how much cubic yards, potentially the cubic yards that we're gonna have involved.
Okay.
Information?
Please.
Okay, all right. So we have Mathias Lake, that's, phase one, what we're gonna call phase one. And that would be the area there at Natives, coming down from 11th Road, down south to, 9th Lane. We also have on Oxon, from 11th Road down to, 9th as well. Now, some of that work had already been done. So, the others are, a lot of it is carryover, from 2019, for the most part. So, knowing that I have run, quite a bit of my time, then I just leave it for questions.
These are old maps, aren't they?
December of 2019?
You still have 57 highway.
Oh, yes, yes. Those are old maps, the old base maps, instead of 58. Yes.
Unless it's roads that no longer exist.
The way they had it put out there by itself, I've noticed it.
They're,
Yeah.
east of Leroy a mile, on Treefold going south 58. You got a mile there that needs to be rocked, probably end up with a mile and a half totally. Cause that's where the river water was over that for 6-7 days, and it really fell apart.
Okay,
Treefold and going south on from 58.
all right.
You got a
We
blue
have
one
that,
there.
but you're saying also the one.
You're gonna be
that's
a
just-
mile and a half there altogether.
Okay,
Cause in fact, it probably needs to be re-rocked before spring work even hits. It is really,
okay.
all the oil transport's coming up out of that bottom, they've chewed that road up pretty good.
Well, I know we're also, Lakeview Drainage District, Levy District is, working to get that one up, levy back in,
Yeah.
the dam back in.
That northeast corner of Leroy, that when we toured
Mm-hmm.
and looked at, Shane Sutherland's, you don't have that marked on there. And we've kinda made a commitment that would be done this year, or
Right.
in 2020. Which that's gonna take several days with a few pieces of equipment.
And we'll also take some coordination to agreements with the city, as
City's
we'll
gotta
be,
city's gotta be involved in that one.
as we're gonna be back there in that right of way.
Yeah.
So,
Anything else, Wayne?
no, that's all I have at this point, unless you have some questions. Just wanted
We'll
to-
have these here for the
Yes,
next week
the
or two to
draft.
review and
Yes.
take a look if we need to make some changes. And hopefully the weather's more cooperative in 2020,
Yes,
where you can get more of the projects completed.
we plan for it.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments for Wayne?
Then, I have one thing, FEMA did contact, me here last week and said that they would be down here about January 1st of February, so we should be hearing from them as far as going out and, reviewing the roads with FEMA. So, keeping in mind, we have close over, almost $1 million of damage that's been documented.
You
but
have plenty of pictures, right?
Plenty of pictures, yes, and work orders.
That's what
So we have those. Okay?
Okay, thanks, Wayne.
All right, thank you.
Have a great
Have a
holiday.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Wayne.
Mike,
Right on time.
Mike, what do you have for us today in your disposal?
On the disposal order
Discussion.
is on those, weapons that Randy talked to you guys about here a couple weeks ago. I've got 3 motions. And was asked to come and present these due to him being on vacation. You want me to read them off to you? Okay. We did do the publish in the newspaper, I believe on the 11th and the 18th.
Wait till Angie gets back here, Mike.
I remember this one quite well, so.
These are more or less a continuation of what we've already taken care of.
Yeah, I think after we did the publication, we had to come back and do the
Right.
official order on that.
Angie, we got 3 motions here before us, brought to us by Mike. A continuation of what we did either last week or the week before. I'm not even sure the time frame. These motions have got a lot of length to them, they got a lot of numbers in them. Do we even have to read them over? Can we just refer to it as motion 1 and you type it into the minutes?
It's written out, I've got it here,
And that's
so
all,
I
that'd be
think that's,
satisfactory?
I think so.
Entertain, based on the recommendation of the county sheriff, move to find the 13 Smith and Weapons and so on. Entertain motion to move. Bob?
I'll move motion 1.
Bob has moved. Entertain a second.
Second.
Tom is second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Motion 2, basically the same, you know, got a lot of numbers involved in it. Based upon the recommendation of the county sheriff, moved to find that 10 H&K model are no longer required and be used as disposable but trade-in. Entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, I got Cody down for move, got Fred down for second. Any discussion?
I thought Tom moved. Who?
Cody did, we all 3 were
Okay.
on it.
I went ahead and put Cody down to move and Fred to second.
Okay.
Will that work?
It work.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Third motion. Based on the recommendation of the county sheriff, move to purchase 25 Smith & Wesson with all the information to go with it. And if I remember right, after we do all 3 of these motions, we got a total out-of-the-pocket cost of $600 or $700.
It's actually in that motion, it is $664.
Okay, $664.35. I remember it being 600 and
Yep.
something.
Yep.
Tom, you moved?
Yes, I'll make the motion.
Okay. Tom has moved, entertain a second.
I'll buy the Smith and Wesson.
Bob is second. Any discussion?
Everything else will be good.
If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0.
We did bid.
What else do you have for us, Mike?
That's it.
That's it?
That is it.
Painless.
Painless and quick, and you guys need a break.
You didn't even use your 20 minutes you set up.
I know, Merry Christmas to all you
Yeah.
guys.
Merry Christmas.
Appreciate everything you guys do for us. Even though we don't see eye to eye all the time.
Well, that leads for the good discussion, Mike.
That's right.
Thanks, Mike.
Have a Merry Christmas.
Yep, ladies, you do the same.
Thank you.
Okay, here's Karen? Well, we didn't catch up completely, we caught up about.
Well, I have to be really quick, because Brad just said so.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, I just had furnished you guys all, with a copy of my year-end, numbers, and I was just wanting to request that I can set aside $11,000 into the equipment reserve, to purchase office printers, cash register, and clerk seating and monitors. I'm kind of giving you a note on the back as to why. I've been, trying to take care of the printers and cash register. I want them to go as long as they possibly can, but I'd like to have money in reserve that I've budgeted for them for the last couple of years, but I've been able to keep them going. So I'd just like to have the money set aside, so that if when they do go, I have the money there to purchase them that I had already budgeted for.
This is basically identical of what was sent out to us in summary on Friday, so.
Okay.
I think it's great, you know, if you extend the life of the equipment and still perform, to me, that's a plus. We just don't want everything to come to head all at one time.
Yeah.
So,
And most of these I can get pretty quick because of the printer type. They're printers that are used by, like especially the printers, they're used by every county in the state. So, when you can get the supplier, they are keeping them on hand because they realize that they can go. And we do have, the extra ones, we can move around for a day or two and print off of those till we can get the new one here. So, like I said, I realize that when we put printers, and we put them in the cell, they bring little to no money. So if my thought is use them till you can't use them anymore.
stretch them out if you can.
So.
Anybody have any questions for
My
Karen?
question would be, probably, Angie, when we put money in equipment reserve, do we line item it for certain offices?
No.
I mean, we need to be aware that you're putting it in there, but I think we've always had money available for these, but I don't think we specifically line item it to any office.
No, basically what you've done is money's been transferred there from different departments, and then you guys are the sole pocketbook on that, and so if someone needs something, they would come in and request it, and might remind you that they put.
Right, and basically, we've got record of it.
And so,
Right, and
And
my
that's-
understanding is that I've asked for 11,000 to be moved there, so basically I need to keep track and
Right,
know
and
that that's, my 11,000 is, I have that amount to
When
spend.
something comes
sitting
up,
in there.
you've got it documented and bring it back to our attention.
I just want to clarify that it's there, it's just that it's not line itemed out to each department that when they.
Right, I just have to keep track that,
Yeah.
yes, I have $11,000 sitting in that pot, so to speak. Okay,
Any
that
other
was all I
questions?
had.
Any other questions for Karen? If not, thanks for coming.
All right, thank you.
Have a good holiday.
And you too, you guys all have a nice holiday.
Good job.
Is that quick enough, Brad? Okay.
Get you guys out of here.
We almost caught up, Brad.
I know.
There's where you can help us.
I can. Well, I am coming back here to let you know what the bids were for my servers. And I got 2 bids for 3 Dell servers and 2 Equalogic arrays. One was for $78,350.46. And that is in my budget for this year to be taken out. The other bid was $133,000.
These are servers for.
Servers for the entire system. This is our backbone that takes care of all of our servers for every department.
And you told us, I think, one time how the present one is, I just don't remember what that
It is, they were originally put in 10 years ago. I think they were replaced probably 5. So this will be,
Do you have a motion for that?
I need a motion for that. If it's coming out of my budget,
It's over.
How much are they?
it's over, 78,000.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I do not have a written budget, motion for that.
Anything over 10, but.
Okay.
Why is there a $55,000 difference when you're talking about
They did,
2 companies?
the
that
second
find-
company bid something more expensive. It wasn't the same bid.
So they bid over and above your
Over and above my
requested,
request, yes.
which doesn't, to me, doesn't create an issue.
Yeah, it was a larger storage array.
you want me to type something else real quick?
If you could, yeah.
Okay. Can I see which one are you going for?
I wasn't sure on how to,
Okay,
is that
so we're going with,
78 Eagle?
the company's Eagle.
Eagle, yes. And while Angie's doing that, you know, you all ask about a secondary camera to look back this direction. Okay. Bob asked for it. Anyway, I called Brett to see approximately how much one would cost to get reinstalled and also to the switch. And he informal bid of about $400.
On the software side of that, combining it to one.
I would have to buy
stream
software.
video, That,
I looked at that and it is about $100
that's all.
for one license to put on one computer. It was cheaper than I thought.
Audio video software can go one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
There at one time, and I kind of thought I was probably 100% in favor of having a camera that would show everybody back here and who asked a question or who made the comment. In my own thoughts, I've been doing a lot of thinking on that. 95% plus of everything's being discussed is up here. And that camera's picking up, the person in that chair there.
Picking up my bald head.
Yeah.
It's picking up.
It's bouncing around. And I know my television at home's a 48 inch, and when you take it down and you split it, you're gonna have a 20 and a 20. To me, we may be getting too small and losing the effect of the camera there. My thought here, more recently, I'm probably leaning toward just staying with one camera. But I don't know what the rest of the commission, I know I'd like to see what the cost is, and the cost is insignificant.
Well, you can look at other entities that do the recording similar to we do, and some of them they're not splitting their screen 50-50.
That's the question I was gonna ask.
You have the whole screen on us, and then maybe this camera is focused on a presenter, and then that can be a small window or picture-in-picture type deal.
I would have
There's
to
so
play
many
with the
different
software, I
options to
don't
do
know.
it.
That's a question I was having. I don't want to see it 50-50, to me, we're defeating our purpose here. But if we can isolate a small corner of the television.
I'm sure that's possible.
That's,
I agree.
Other people are doing it, it can't be.
I would have to play with the software.
That most of the business here, but with another camera, you're seeing that person's face also. And you're also seeing the clock for when you go into executive session, so you don't have people saying, oops, you were in too long, or you went in, and that
I can see some pluses, Bob, but I just had some questions myself over the weekend.
I mean, and per Bob's argument there, being able to see the camera, the video can be time-stamped. I mean, it's the information, the data is there, it's just not shown on the recording. Am I right?
Video can be time-stamped.
So and that would take care of that. But
then you got somebody who say, well, you older.
Oh, yeah.
So, if the clock is
Say that anyway.
the clock is in the picture, you're not altering anything, so.
You might have changed the clock.
So no matter what you do, somebody's gonna have something.
Might have changed the clock with the camera.
And I think the price is insignificant, I think
Yeah.
Brad can figure it out, so.
So Brad was asked to do some research, do some discovery, and he has done some discovery and brought it to us. So what's the commission's direction on this?
If it takes a motion, I'll make a motion. If it's just a consensus, because it's under his authority, I'd say go for it.
Up to you.
I think we're kind of going to the extreme, but I'll go along with whatever the majority wants.
Is it consensus to, like I said, I had some second thoughts over the weekend when I'd done some thinking, but if we can isolate a small part of it and still put the emphasis on this up here.
Okay.
I won't have any problem with doing that.
I agree with what you said.
Consensus of the commission to
Yes.
go ahead?
Move
Okay.
forward.
Okay.
All right, Brad?
I will.
We appreciate you doing the discovery and bringing that information to us.
I don't have a timeline on when they'll be able to get here, but again, I will, yeah, it's that time of year, but we will get it done.
Got it printed out.
All right, thanks.
You have anything else to bring forth?
Still got he wants.
I would still, I'll have a motion.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah. I'm sorry I didn't bring it up.
78,000, that's the important part of it.
Yeah, that was the important. Yeah. The $500 was nothing compared to this.
I didn't figure that second camera would cost very much, so.
Okay, you wanna look at this and see, I'll go ahead and hand these out. You can make any changes you can. You do need to say where we're gonna pay it from, that is one thing.
I got these signed too.
You said it was in your budget.
It's in my budget.
Technology, general fund technology department, or technology?
Technology, training, and equipment.
Technology training equipment, okay, so we'll add that.
You are now including
Technology.
General fund,
Technology, training, and equipment fund.
no, it's general fund technology,
General fund.
Okay.
Technology,
Training.
and equipment.
and equipment line item.
Line item, but there we go.
We got a motion before us now of Bradford, and I don't think I'll read this over completely because it's already been discussed, it's already on the video, but move, based on the recommendation of the technology director to approve the bid proposal for Eagle Technology for 3 Dell servers in the amount of $38,000, 2 storage arrays at $15,000 apiece. We have a less the government discount. We got a net price of $78,350.46. So they come out of the technology department.
I think you missed the whole line, Don, when you were reading it.
You want me to read all of them?
Well, no, but you went from storage arrays, and you said 15,000, and that's actually 143,000.
Okay.
And then the others was the 15,000.
Okay.
Just so that.
Apologize for leaving
it's
that one
been-
line out.
Less the
We
government
know what it
discount.
is, but.
The net price is still 78,350.46.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve.
I'll move.
Fred has moved, entertain a second.
I'll second.
Cody is second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Opposed, motion carried 5-0. Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Have a great holiday.
You have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Brad.
Thank you for taking it.
Yeah, no problem, anytime.
That does conclude the agenda that we have before us today. Wade Bowie is gone today, but he was going to send a message in if there was something that we needed to take action on today and you haven't received anything,
I haven't
Donna?
got anything.
Okay. Angie, what do you have for us today?
The only thing I needed to mention to you is that, the Mental Wellness Board is having their last meeting of the year on, December 26th at 8:30 a.m. in the basement, either meeting room or kitchen, depending on how many people show up. So, they wanted to make sure that I passed that on to you, if any of you are interested in attending that last meeting of this year.
Okay.
So their meetings are normally the first Thursday of the month, and so,
Anything else, Angie?
yeah.
Fred, do you have anything to bring? Tom?
I'll pass. Save it for next year, or next week.
Next Monday. Bob, do you have anything to bring for the commission today?
No, I have a question. Were we looking at January for the legislative?
January the 10th.
Is that what we were looking at?
Mhm.
Okay, do we have anything else scheduled in January? Because I have some deals up at the state I need to do with. And I just wanted to try to work around the days we have things.
Okay, the target date for the wage study was to be in on the 10th, and I don't know where, Wade's at on that.
We got Alice training on the 15th.
Okay. well, I know those type of things. Okay.
So I haven't sent anything out yet on the legislative discussion because I wanted to finalize everything with you guys. But that's what worked for the legislators. I've still yet to hear back from Eric Smith because he needed to talk to Randy to make sure, because he's supposed to be working that day, but he was wanting to ask him if he could take off so he could sit on this panel.
Those are only two things that we know of we have scheduled for, okay, that's all I have.
That's all I'm aware of, Bob.
That's all I have. That's all.
Do you have anything, Cody?
I don't have anything for today.
And I don't either.
Uh,
I'm sorry. Okay. I mean,
No, go ahead.
well, you have anything for us, Donna?
I just wanted to let you know that in looking at year-end numbers for the commissioners, it looks like you can transfer over about 17,000, which leaves a balance of 1408.80.
17,000.
You should be able to transfer out of commission.
Okay,
And I put equipment reserve, but you can decide where you want that to go.
okay.
And then, we just talked about the legislative discussion. And then also I sent an email out for you, to read on the new regulations and rules for 2020 from the, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration regarding drug and alcohol testing. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up about that, so, and Wade took that with him over the weekend, so he can work on that and review that too, because there was an agreement that we'll need to sign with the, Compliance One, which is our current drug and alcohol testing company. So, and what it will do, it will allow, personnel real-time information, so employers can see real-time information about CDL drivers' records. And it's a federal mandate, so we don't
Okay.
have any choice in that. And
So
then,
we'll be getting that from you.
yeah, well, after Wade reviews the agreement and makes sure that everything's kosher there, then we'll be bringing it forward for a motion probably after the first of the year.
Okay. Okay.
And let's see if I have anything else. Nope, just we're off Tuesday and Wednesday.
Okay. Mark, what do you have for us?
Well, I just wanted to give you a little additional information concerning public notices, in case you did not know. And Wayne kind of alluded to it, that sometimes when he puts public notices in the newspaper, he gets calls from other, throughout the state or other states. If you go to the front page underneath our public notice list, there's a, I believe it's, if you go to kansaspublicnotices.com, there's a website. Newspapers throughout the state upload their public notices to that page, and it's accessible by anybody who goes to that website. I mean, you can do search by date, search by keywords, things like that. So it's not just Coffee County where that's appearing. It is accessible throughout the state and throughout the country for that matter. So just want to make sure y'all were aware of that.
I didn't realize that was out there, but you take all these big equipment companies that deal with all the equipment.
I'm
you
sure
know-
they access.
You know they're looking at it, or you'd assume they're looking at it.
Yeah. So anyway, I just want to make sure y'all were aware of that, so.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Do you have something, Brad? I said I had people contact me on this bid
All over.
from, all over, from, I'm sure.
It worked.
Assumed
All
it
right.
was from them.
Wasn't aware of it. Russell, you just walked in, we're ready to.
I just found a new requirement they had for the LEPC, and it's, it says, the LEPC members shall be nominated by the county commissioners and will be approved by the, state LEPC, so I guess I need a motion that the commission nominates.
Is this positions or names?
It says the LEPC members will be nominated by the county commissioners, so it doesn't say positions, so it says members, so I guess it's names. And I have the list here. It's pretty much the same people that have been. I can read them off. So, myself, Bob, Randy Rogers, Doug Jones, Aaron Cathcart, Mary Collins for the city of Waverly, and Aaron Cathcart for the city of Levo. Brian Ish for the city of Gridley, Mark Peterson for the city of New Strawn and as local press, Nikki Houston for Leroy, Randall Brown for Fire District, Jared Schulte for EMS, Wayne Blackburn, Public Works, Lindsay Payer for Public Health, Corey Reese, Russell Millward, and Craig Marshall for the schools, Jim Radine for Wolf Creek, Todd Bemis for transportation, James Higgins for the hospital, Darrell Henson for extension, Wade Boyd for as a local official, Marilyn Eccles, Health Department, Eugene Goff for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Karen Bailey as a local official, Angie Kirchner as a local official, Pat Cheever with the Wind Farm for a facilities operator, Brad Scheidmeyer for information technologies, Dawn Hazelhoon for a local service club, Darren Doherty as a local official, Regina Cooley for the city of Burlington, and Darren Ish for the airport.
Do we need a different representative from Waverly?
Maybe they haven't notified us of who it's gonna be, but
We'll probably need that. We can appoint her and then change it.
Did I hear Doug Jones' name on there?
Yeah.
Okay. For
Yep, he was the first one, right?
Arlington City, right?
Law enforcement.
Law enforcement. Okay.
Out of all those people, how many participate, just in numbers?
I'll count the ones that don't show up much. I'll say
We've had most of them.
1, 2, superintendents are hit and miss, 2 city officials that don't come too much.
But we have had some that have sent a replacement when they weren't there too.
I would say there's around 5 or 6 that have fairly limited attendance.
Okay, well, that's pretty good attendance, I'd say. Yeah.
About 30.
Out of that many people, that's pretty good attendance.
Maybe as many as 6 or 7. So, I was just reading through this, and I didn't have time to type up a motion, so
Okay.
if you want to make a motion to approve the presented LEP membership form to be submitted to KDEM on the recommendation of the emergency manager.
And you can get everything put together so Angie can record it?
Yeah.
So that work for you, Angie?
You probably got it typed up already, don't you?
Move to approve the list of LEPC members to be submitted to KDEM for approval.
Yep.
Is this yearly?
Yes.
No.
Which we've submitted it before, but now instead of 1 page of instructions, there are 2 pages of instructions. And reading through those instructions, it says and highlighted in bold on this page, it says shall be nominated by the county commission.
Entertain somebody to move.
So it's nothing different that we haven't done before, but other than having you guys nominate them.
Should we change the word from approve to nominate the list?
Sure, that'd be great.
Get it all recorded, Angie. Entertain.
I would, but I'm on that committee, I guess, so.
Also move then. I haven't done anything on motions today. Also moved, entertain a second.
Second.
Tom, a second, any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0.
That's all I had. I saw, I wonder if they're still in session
Okay.
tonight.
Thank you, Russell.
Yep.
We just got a notice that Wade we need to call him and we've evidently got to go into executive session for something.
Well, he had told me that he might, so if you want me to get him on the phone, then he can tell you what.
Get him on the phone.
That's why I had my phone in here for you that didn't know, because Wade had said he would text me.
This phone?
Yeah.
I guess you got the number, don't you?
I do. Hey Wade, this is Donna, I'm in the commission room. Do you have a minute?
Yep.
Okay. Do you need to go into executive session?
Yeah, that's ultimately the only thing that I have.
Okay.
Unless somebody has any questions for me ahead of time for anything else.
I don't think we had any questions. We were just gonna contact you and see what you needed for today, Wade.
Okay. Yeah, I need to request, that someone make a motion to go into an executive session to discuss, matters involving pending litigation that would, involve matters that are privileged under the attorney-client relationship, and I don't have the specific statute to cite, but it's the statute that...
4319B2.
Yep, it's the same one I cite, in other hearings. I mean, that's the statutory basis. And that would include, the commission, that would include, obviously, me by phone, and it would also include the treasurer, Karen, if she's in the meeting room.
She is.
Yep. I'd request she be included as well.
For how long?
I'd say 15 minutes, probably. I mean, I always want to say it shorter, and then we go 15 minutes, so.
Okay. Do you have that all recorded, Angie?
I do.
Okay, we've got a motion to go into executive session for the reason that is so quoted by our county council to include the commission, Wade and Karen, for 15 minutes. Entertain a motion to, Fred is moved. Entertain a second. Bob is second. Any discussion? Oh, I'm sorry, Tom. Sorry about that, Tom. Tom second.
And to readjourn.
Yeah, return to here. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried 5-0. We're at 11:34. Come out at 11:49.
We're in.
In.
Okay, we're in. Just a second, Wade, we still got.
Recording.
Howdy.
What? I don't think it was on pause.
Is this still recording?
No. Stop.
Okay.
Don't have to read it yet.
We didn't have to read it.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move we go back in with the same people for the same reason for 15 more minutes and to return here.
Okay, we have a motion for the commission,
For the same purpose.
or everything for the same purpose, same people, return back to here. Bob is so moved, entertain a second. Fred is second, any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried 5-0. 11:51. Back at 12:06.
You still there, Wade?
Yep, I'm still here.
Still sitting in the car?
Still sitting in the car.
We're not quite there
We're not
yet.
in yet.
We're not quite there yet. Okay.
All right, so before I say,
It's quick. It'd take him 5 minutes to get a hold of Dave.
It'll take a couple minutes.
I think he's gonna explain it to us, and we're gonna do just what we're gonna do.
Yeah, we're gonna go back in
That's what happened, yeah.
executive session for 10 minutes.
When he calls back, is that correct?
When he calls
Yeah,
back.
after he calls back.
So we're officially on break. This is what I took.
I think he is still on the line.
No.
I can't have that. Could we have that?
Going back in.
Yeah, for 10 minutes.
Okay.
When he calls back.
Wade?
Yes.
He's
Looks like
still
that.
on.
Oh, okay.
He's still on. Contact to another.
Whatever it is.
Okay.
I thought he hung up.
I thought he hung up too. Did we hang up
It's
though?
still lit up,
No, he
that
said he went
line.
offline for a minute.
Oh.
Well, if we didn't hang up, it maybe, they work that way still.
Are you going now? Still on break?
We are really
I'm
comfortable.
not. Now. You are. You're gone. We all
Are
hurry.
you ready for,
If you're gone, we are.
We had Christmas yesterday.
you did? All right.
Well, really cute.
You have all your grandkids here?
We just had 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Just the 2 little
I did
boys.
have something for round two.
The other 3 are coming next
I'm
week.
sorry.
I did have something for round two.
are you back in?
Not yet, no. We're just in open session right now.
Okay.
Is he ready?
Are you ready? Tom's out just a second. He'll be right back.
Okay.
That work for you?
Yep, I wanted to make sure I knew what was going on, because I can't see. Once we get that new, equipment we talked about, we can put a camera in and you can see me and I can see you.
Starling.
Well, you're not always gonna be sitting in a car somewhere, are you?
No, I might be in a helicopter or, in a tall building. Who knows?
Yeah, okay.
Hot air balloon?
That'd be neat.
I think it's one Okay, Tom's back.
Okay.
We need to go back in for 10 minutes to include the same people plus Dave?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and Brian Van Orsby is also on the line if that matters.
Okay.
Dave and Brian.
Dave and Brian both. Okay, same motion to include Dave and Brian this time
10 minutes.
for 10 minutes.
I move.
Fred is so moved, entertain a second.
Second.
I'll try to get your name correct this time.
Tom.
Second, any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried 5-0. We'll go in
And you need to make sure that in the motion, I know the names Dave and Brian were mentioned, but it's ongoing litigation, and these are, you probably need to include their last names and,
yeah.
under the same grounds, the attorney-client privilege.
You know Dave and Brian's last name.
I can't remember
Dave Seeley.
Seeley, yeah, and Brian Ormsby.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's been on 10 for quite a while. We just went at 12. 12 to 12:22.
Sister-in-law.
Not yet, Wade.
Okay.
We're,
Need some elevator music or something playing. Jeopardy.
Somebody could sing.
I don't, well, let Karen can sing, the rest of us don't wanna sing.
I can sing, but nobody wants to listen to it.
Nobody wants the rest of us to sing anyway.
It's like watching
Okay,
paint dry.
we're in.
Hold on.
All right, I called, Dave,
We're out, we'll let you know as soon as we do, we have to make a motion and go back in. How long do you think we need? Anybody?
Well, you're supposed to be
Wait.
10.
10 minutes?
15?
Surely 10.
You guys can actually exit after, you don't have to stay in if we're finished, but we just can't do anything, so.
That's fine.
Okay, 15 covered. I'm gonna move the same people, the same reason, enter into executive session for 15 minutes, for the same reason, same people, and to return here and go in and
That includes Dave and Brian both.
includes the same people, yeah, as the last one.
Okay.
Go in at 12:24, it just turned 23, so it should be okay.
Got a motion on the floor to go back into executive session for the same reason, same people, for 15 minutes. At 12:24, entertain a second.
Second.
I'm a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. 12:24, we'll come out at 12:39.
Get that switch limbered up, Don.
Need one where I can just push a button. Need to lubricate that switch.
Okay. Okay, we are in. We'll let you know in just a minute. 15 minutes.
5 minutes gonna be enough?
Yeah, I mean, didn't understand that part, I guess.
You're going back in 5?
Five.
Okay.
Same reasons.
Same people.
Entertain a
I'll
motion.
second that motion, Don.
I'm sorry.
I'll second that
Who
motion.
moved?
You did.
Fred moved?
I thought you did.
Okay. Well, I just mentioned 5 more minutes, okay. All right, I so moved. Bob is second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried 5-0. It just turned, we're going to 12:41, come out at 12:46.
Well, I'll go back to Wayne's presentation. I'm not taking anything from Wayne, but there are sometimes a study session would be such a bad idea. You know, that way you're not trying to rush around and finish up for the day.
Okay, guys, we're back in
For 5 minutes.
for 5 minutes.
So
Okay. We're out, Wade.
All right, I'm still here.
Okay. Okay, Tom.
Fire away.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
So can I make this based on the recommendation of Wade Bowie?
We need to
Yeah.
mention, yeah.
The declaration of our
County attorney.
county attorney.
Okay.
Yeah. That'd be right.
County counselor?
Counselor?
Yep.
Okay, county counselor.
Okay, so I guess you got it, Don? You want me?
Go ahead and I'll fill in.
Okay, I guess, based upon the recommendation of county counselor, and we make a motion to approve $10,000 as payment of claims made by Laura Hopkins, subject to further negotiations and approval
And approval at a later date.
at a later date, yes.
Do you have that written down?
Kind
Can I write it, or can I
of, don't
copy
trust
it?
my spelling.
You went so fast, I was like.
I'm sorry. No, I don't have spell check on my pen, so I
Payment of claims
Yes.
made by,
Read it over your shoulder.
Plus I don't trust my penmanship or spelling.
okay, I think I got it.
Okay.
Read it back, please.
Okay. Move to approve $10,000 as payment of claims made by Laura Hawkins, subject to further negotiation and approval
Yes.
Yes. At a later date.
at a later date.
That sound good, Wade?
Yep, and then you probably need to talk about where the $10,000 is gonna come from.
Could you start that out based on the approval of
Yeah.
council?
Move, upon the recommendation of the county counselor, to approve $10,000 as payment of claims made by Laura Hawkins, subject to further negotiation and approval at a later date. Funds to come from,
General fund.
well, we could either do that, or we could do our risk management fund,
That's what I
our
was
risk
wondering.
management
You
reserve.
know, that'd be a better
Sounds
fit.
better.
Yeah,
Be a better fit.
yeah.
If Thomas so moved, entertain a second. I'll go ahead and second it. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0.
Okay, Wade, anything else for us?
I think that's enough for one day.
Have a good trip. Thank you.
If you need me, you know where to find me.
Good luck to Michigan.
Merry Christmas.
Have a Merry Christmas.
Same
Have a
here,
Merry
Wade.
Christmas, everybody.
Merry
Be safe.
Christmas, Wade.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, gotta do is pick that up, hang it back up.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay, we ready to adjourn?
Bob said he had something else to come up.
I had one other thing. It doesn't matter how we go with economic development, what we do. I had a good conversation with the lady from the Chamber of Commerce. I think we ought to invite her in. She had a lot of good thoughts for us to think about, that we could think about in different avenues to go. But I think that after the first year, I'd like to invite her in for a little session and give her some of her thoughts and stuff, because actually the Chamber and the Economic Development ought to be working together anyway.
I totally agree with that statement right
So,
there.
How long has she been our chamber now?
A little over a year.
A little over a year. But I just thought she had some good thoughts and things to conversation about. I'll get with her and have her to get with Angie, get on the agenda and have sometime after the first year,
Okay.
if that'll work.
Set it up for what, 15 minutes or whatever?
No, I'm thinking probably want to do it a little longer than that.
Okay. Just go ahead and set it up.
I'll see how long she thinks.
Those two really need to be working
She would
together.
like to talk.
As well as the housing authority too, I mean, if they can all.
Yeah. Okay, good idea.
That's it.
Anything else? If not, adjourn at 12:51.
About an hour later than I anticipated. We're adjourned.
See you, Fred. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Whoops.
Oh, get your box.
I got a